Imagine waking up one morning and every job you trained for, every skill you spent years building, is worth less than it was yesterday. Not because you failed, not because the economy crashed, but because a machine learned to do it better than you, overnight. This isn't a dystopian novel. This isn't a Black Mirror episode. Economists at Goldman Sachs estimated that AI could automate tasks equivalent to 300 million full-time jobs globally. 300 million. And here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. We have no historical playbook for this. Every time technology disrupted humanity before, the printing press, the steam engine, the internet, humans adapted. We invented new jobs, new industries, new value. But what happens when the thing replacing you can also do the new job you just invented? That is the question this video is about. And by the end, I promise you, you will never look at your career, your money, or your economy the same way again. The year is 1811. England. A group of textile workers called the Luddites are smashing factory machines with hammers. Not because they were stupid. Not because they feared change. Because the machines were taking their livelihoods, and no one had a plan for what came next. History told us they were wrong. The Industrial Revolution created more jobs than it destroyed. New industries emerged. Standards of living eventually rose. Economists called this the lump of labor fallacy. The mistaken belief that there's only a fixed number of jobs in the world, and for 200 years they were right. But here's the uncomfortable new data point. Previous technology replaced human muscle. AI is replacing human thinking. And that changes everything. Think of the economy like a three-layer pyramid. At the base, physical labor, farming, building, carrying. Machines replaced most of this in the 19th and 20th centuries. In the middle, routine cognitive work. Data entry, accounting, basic legal work, customer service. Software began hollowing this layer out in the 1990s and 2000s. At the top, complex creative and strategic thinking. Writing, designing, diagnosing, leading, inventing. This top layer was supposed to be safe, permanently human, until GPT-4 passed the bar exam in the 90th percentile. Until AI started writing code that senior engineers called, and I'm quoting here, frighteningly good. Until a Goldman Sachs report quietly noted that legal, financial, and creative professionals are among the most exposed to AI displacement. Not the least, the most. The pyramid is being attacked from the top down, not the bottom up. Now, here is the core economic mechanic you need to understand. In every previous technological revolution, the formula worked like this. Technology eliminates job A. That creates cheaper goods. That frees up capital. That capital creates job B. The cotton gin eliminated handpickers, but it created factory operators, logistics workers, textile merchants. The ATM replaced bank tellers, but banks opened more branches and hired more relationship managers. The model always recycled human labor into new forms of value. But AI breaks this recycling loop. Here's why. When a company deploys AI, it doesn't just automate one job. It deploys a system that can continuously learn, continuously improve, and continuously expand into adjacent tasks without requiring more human input. An AI that handles customer service today can handle basic legal queries tomorrow and financial planning next year. The same system, the same cost, expanding capability. Economists call this general-purpose technology on steroids. The difference is velocity. Previous technologies, electricity, the internet, took decades to reshape industries. AI is doing it in years, and the capital freed up by AI isn't flowing back into human job creation at the same rate. It's flowing into more AI. This is the first loop in economic history that feeds itself and potentially squeezes humans out of the cycle entirely. Here's where it gets serious. Economists have a concept called structural unemployment. It means people aren't unemployed because the economy is slow. They're unemployed because the economy has permanently changed shape and their skills no longer fit. We saw a preview of this after 2008. Manufacturing jobs in the American Midwest didn't come back. Not because companies were struggling, because robots were cheaper, faster, and didn't need health insurance. Now, multiply that across every white-collar industry. Simultaneously, MIT economists Darren Acemoglu and Pasquale Restrepo published a landmark study showing that for every robot added per 1,000 workers, wages fall and employment drops. Not just in that factory, across the entire surrounding community. Ripple effects, economic gravity. Now consider this scenario, which is no longer theoretical. It's 2031. AI handles 40% of knowledge work tasks globally. Companies are leaner, more profitable than ever. Stock markets are at all-time highs. But median wages have stagnated. Middle-class consumption is falling. Tax revenues are shrinking because there are fewer employed workers paying income tax. Governments face a paradox. The economy looks healthy on paper, but the people inside it are struggling. GDP goes up. Human welfare goes sideways. This is what some economists are now calling the Great Decoupling, where economic output and human prosperity separate from each other, like tectonic plates drifting apart. And it reveals a flaw at the very foundation of how we measure economic success. GDP was designed to measure output, not well-being, not distribution, not meaning. If one AI system generates the economic output of 10,000 workers, GDP rises. But 10,000 people are without income, without purpose, without economic participation. By the old metric, we're thriving. By any human metric, something has broken. And the political consequences of that gap, that is where history gets very uncomfortable. Because we've seen what happens when large populations feel economically abandoned and culturally humiliated. It doesn't end with policy papers. So what are the real ripple effects we should be watching? First, the tax base erosion problem. Governments fund social safety nets through income and payroll taxes. If AI replaces workers, that revenue base collapses. At the exact same moment that demand for welfare increases. This is a fiscal crisis hiding inside an AI boom. Second, the wealth concentration spiral. AI's economic gains overwhelmingly flow to capital owners. the people and institutions that own the AI, not the workers it replaced. This accelerates inequality at a speed no previous technology has matched. Third, the meaning economy collapse. This one is underreported. Humans don't just work for money, they work for identity, structure, community, and purpose. Mass technological unemployment doesn't just create poverty. It creates a psychological and social crisis that no unemployment check can solve. Fourth, the policy lag. Governments are notoriously slow. The regulatory frameworks being built today were designed for problems from a decade ago. By the time legislation catches up to AI's economic impact, the damage will already be structural. Here's the honest truth. We don't know how this ends. That's not a failure of imagination. That is the accurate answer. Every serious economist studying this will tell you, the range of outcomes runs from broadly fine to civilizationally destabilizing. The optimists point to new industries we cannot yet imagine. They point to AI's potential to solve climate change, cure disease, compress centuries of scientific progress into decades. They argue human creativity and connection will always have value. The pessimists point to the velocity. They say we've never had to adapt this fast, that the social and political institutions we rely on to manage transitions were not built for this speed. Both could be right, at different times, in different places. What history does tell us is this: technology does not distribute its benefits automatically. It distributes them to those with power, capital, and positioning, unless society deliberately intervenes. The steam engine didn't create the middle class. Labor movements, regulation, and political will created the middle class, using the wealth the steam engine generated. The question isn't whether AI will create enormous wealth. It will. The question is, who decides where that wealth goes? And right now, that question is being answered quietly, in boardrooms and server farms, by a very small number of people. Whether the rest of us have a say in that answer, that's not an economics question. That's a political one. If AI generates the wealth of 1,000 workers, but only 10 people own it, is that prosperity, or is that something else entirely? Drop your answer in the comments. And if this made you think differently about the economy you're living in, you know what to do.